All right. So we've all been there. You've finished writing the essay, and there's one last thing, yeah? And that's your Works Cited page. Raise your hand if you have just gone with Son of Citation Machine or EasyBib. Many of us have done it, I know. But I'm actually going to teach you how to create a Works Cited page and to understand how it all works. So I'm going to arm you with tools so that as you move forward, you'll know how to do it, and it'll be second nature, and you won't have to depend on these fallible sources. You'll actually understand how to do it. So do me a favor. You're going to copy, and we're going to paste this into your browser. So let's go in here. Okay. There's an ad. There's always an ad here. Don't really like ads. I could just go down. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the folks at Purdue University, which is in Indiana, have been kind enough to create this super helpful source for us to understand how to create Works Cited in MLA. So first of all, I want to make this little parenthesis. So with citations, there's different types of styles. Okay, in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Like let's pretend you have just finished maybe something that pertains. It's an article that's going to be published in a journal of chemistry. Okay, so you would use APA. But here in the humanities, we use MLA. So that's what we're going to be learning. This guide here will be immensely helpful because it presents us with the order of details from our source that we enumerate. Okay? Now, I want to make something clear. Not every source is going to give you all of these details. So, you only go with what you are given. You only go with what you know. You're not responsible for anything else, yeah? Okay, cool. Next thing is notice these punctuation marks, okay? We have periods, we have commas. You have to memorize this. First of all, these are intentional, okay? So it's not a mistake. So the periods go after the source author. So the periods go after the author and the title of the source, and at the end, okay? So author and title, period, and then at the end, kind of like you end a sentence. The rest are commas. See, comma, 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 comma. Okay, so we're going to look at some of these examples, and actually your homework is going to be on this and on creating Works Cited pages. And hey, by the end of this unit, you'll be ready to go and to move forward with all the Works Cited pages that you're going to continue creating for the other assignments and the remainder of your tenure as a student in academic. Okay, so check this out. First of all, with our author, okay, if there's one author that we're given, let me say that again. The first author that you list is always you always go with the last name first, and then comma, and then first name. Remember what I said about the period. The period is after the author and after the source title. Okay, so here we have Baba, comma, Hami, and period, right? Because that's the author. Oh, okay. This is in italics. The location of culture. So already we know. Okay, italics. Italics is the same as underline. What did Mr. Godoy say about underline? Okay, underline looks like a complete line. Therefore, it's a container or component. Oh, okay. If it's the complete line, I remember he talked about that example of taking a line made of glass and breaking it into shards. Okay, so the line is complete. It's a composite. Therefore, it's a container. It's a container. Therefore, okay, this is a container. This is potentially a book of sorts. Okay, and okay, so period. Routledge is the publisher, the name of the publisher. So to publish something, simply put, is to make it public, is to disseminate it for public access. Okay, so with books, we have publishing houses, right, that disseminate and get out books to the public. Yeah. With music, we have record labels who disseminate albums and whether LPs or EPs, there's always a record label that helps to disseminate that. With television series, there are TV studios, right, that have a hand in publishing it and disseminating it. With modern day, with YouTube videos, who's publishing it is who is uploading it, right? Who's making it public. So in this case, we have a book, and it's the same thing here. So Baba, Kami, the location of culture. Routledge is the publisher. So remember, there's always commas after everything else. It's only a period after the author and the title. And I'm saying that a lot because I want you to tattoo that in your mind, okay? So Routledge, last thing is publication date, 1994, period. Okay. Here's another one, Henley, Patricia. Here's the author. The Hummingbird House. Okay, we have another book. It's a container. McMurray is our publisher, and we have our publication date, 1999. Oh, here's a cool one. Here is an instance where we have two new factors. Let's look at what we do know, though. Lundman Susan, that's the author. So we're giving one author, last name, first name. How to make vegetarian chili. If you'll recall, if you recall, articles are components of containers because articles are housed in larger publications. In this case, the larger publication that houses it, the larger container that houses it, is this website, okay? So eHow. eHow is the container, okay? That's why it's in italics, see? So we have author, Lundman Susan, title of source, how to make vegetarian chili. Cool, it's a recipe. And then eHow is our container. So websites, house, articles, which is what we see here. It's an instance of that, okay? The actual URL here is what we call a location. So with electronic sources, a location could be something like this, like a URL. And check this one out. Here we have a lot of new things. Okay. So author Bakshi Alaknanda, Bakshi comma, so last name, comma, first name, okay, period, right? Because that's the author. There's a period after the author and after the title, okay? This one just so happens to have a title and a subtitle, okay? But it's still, it's a title, yeah? Conflicting Nationalisms, the voice of the subaltern in Mahasweta Devi's Bashai Tudu. So I tried my best there. It might be in Urdu. Okay. So this is an article, and it is housed in this journal. This journal is called Tulsa Studies in Women's Literature. And okay, so author and source title, and we know it's a journal because this is the container that is housing that article. Okay, so we went to container. Notice that it says volume and it says issue number. So that's what we mean when we say number. So back to the days, before the internet, and when folks had to use encyclopedias to glean knowledge and for essentially doing their projects and homework and anything else before the days of Google. So there were volume numbers and issue numbers, and always when we say number, it always follows a macro to micro organizational structure. So it moves from the larger mode of organization to the more narrow one, which is what we have here. So a volume number actually houses individual issues, just like if you so you look at journals, that's a good example. And same thing actually goes for Netflix series. Yeah, for series, right? For TV series, for whatever you have. So there are seasons. That's the more macro organizational structure, and then the micro. So season followed by episode, right? By individual episodes. Okay. Lastly, so we have volume 15, issue number 1, and in what is this? Yes, date of publication. And then, okay, this is a location. So just like I said, a location, if we're looking at electronic source, just as much as it can be a URL, then so too in physical sources, they can be individual pages, okay? So pages 41 to 50, 41, 42, 43, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Okay, this person used only these pages, yeah? Those are the locations, yeah? So that's considered a location. Here's an album, a visual, excuse me, a visual album. So I don't know if you really consider this, but an author is not only a writer. An author is the creator of their source, right? So in this case, Beyonce is the author of this source, which is her song, Pray You Catch Me. And that is housed in this container, Lemonade, which is the album name, okay? So author, source title, album, and the publisher. Remember, I was talking about music and record labels or media companies that put out music. So Parkwood Entertainment, cool. And date of publication, 2016. Here we have a link because it's an electronic source, okay? So that's a location, okay? So again, remember, we are only responsible for the details that we know of a source, not what you don't know. What I mean by know is that when you look at a source, it'll actually give you particular details of a particular detail. So just go with what you're given. Okay. Okay. Look at this one. So Kincaid, Jamaica. So author, girl. This is a story in this larger anthology, the vintage book of contemporary American short stories, which is the container. See, that's why it's italicized here. What is this, you might be asking? Well, it's a new detail. So that is other contributor. So when we say other contributor, hey, that could be somebody who helped to write the prologue, somebody who helped with illustrations, somebody who helped with translations. In this case, we have an editor, right? So you need to say just what the contribution was of this individual. So in this instance, edited by Tobias Wolff. Notice that Tobias Wolff is nowhere near the near the start of our line for Works Cited. Like, we're not going to say Kincaid, Jamaica, and Tobias Wolff, because if we did that, then what would we be saying? Yeah, we'd be saying that Tobias Wolff was a co-writer, but he's not a co-writer. He's an editor, right? So it's very important. You need to say what their contribution was, and you include that after the container. Yeah, see, that's the order there. All right, we're doing awesome. Yes, okay, and then we have data publication, then we have location, page 306 to 307. Notice the punctuation marks, right? Period after the author, period after the source title, and then the rest are commas, comma, 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 period at the end, right? Cool. All right. Oh, this is cool. I really haven't seen this series in a long time. So Parks and Recreation. So here's the episode name. That's the source title. Parks and Recreation. That's the series. Okay. These are other contributors. Greg Daniels and Michael Schur. They are the creators of the series. So they're other contributors, as well as Amy Poehler, who, if I recall, she's quite funny. So an actor or actress would, of course, be a contributor in a TV series, right? Because they are bringing the magic on the script into fruition. They're making it happen. Okay, remember what I said about number. This falls under number, organizational features. And we move from macro to micro, meaning we, in this case, season houses individual episodes. So we would list season first, then the episode, okay? So macro to micro. This is, so D2D Productions and Universal Media Studios, okay. The media or production companies that publish this series, yeah? This, in this case, this episode, let's be more specific. This is a data publication. Okay. Another thing, I mean, because I think there's an important point here. Here, let me find another one that says accessed. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. Where's Where's the one that says access? Okay, here's one. All right, so this looks like another article housed in this journal. Okay, so Langhammer, Claire, author. Love and Courtship in Mid-20th Century England. Source title. Historical journal. Cool. That's the container. Remember, macro to micro. So volume numbers house individual issue numbers. So volume 50 will precede the issue number. So volume 50, then issue number 1, and date of publication, 2007. The location, 173, 196. Honestly, okay, so this seems to be the, what's it called? The database ProQuest. So that seems to be like double container. I mean, you don't really have to go that far, but they did. This DOI, you're not responsible for that. So individual databases have respective identifying numbers for particular articles that they house. You're not responsible for this code. No. Don't worry about it. But what I do want you to see is this, access. So this word access, it's very important. Okay, make a mental note. Access acts as a marker to differentiate date of publication and date of access. So when we have an electronic source, you want to make that distinction, yeah? It was published on one date, and it was accessed on another. And think about this. Can you access something before it's published? Nope, you can't, because it needs to be disseminated. It needs to be made readily available for the public for an individual to actually access it, okay? And the worksheet, the homework's going to try to trick you. Don't fall for that. Okay. Okay, here's another one. Foucault Michel, author, Madness and Civilization, History of Insanity in the Age of Reason. Lovely. Okay, so this is a book, quotation marks, in italics. Here's another contributor, a translator. Here's our publisher, Vintage Random House, 1988. All right, version. Okay, so when I was learning this, I would get confused between version and number. So here's what we mean by version. Let me actually return there. Okay, so you who are a student, you've had that experience where you buy your textbook for the class. Oh no, there's a new edition for that same book. Your teacher wants you to get the new edition, and it costs like $50 more than what you paid for. It's like, So that's what we mean by version. There could be editions. Look at this. So in this case, the Bible is the authorized King James Version, just like there's the New International Version. Okay, so that's what we mean. Here's another one, third edition. So here's a textbook, third edition. That's what we mean by version. If you know that, that's what we mean. If you know that detail, then that's what we mean. All right. We already talked about number, right? Macro to micro. So volume precedes issue number. Okay. I think we're doing great here. We're doing great. Look. Author, source title, which is potentially a book, translator, other contributor, volume number 2, publisher, date of publication. Notice the marks, period, so author, period, source title, period, everything else, commas. Lastly, period at the end. Okay? I think we're doing great. We're doing great here. Oh, cool. How many of you remember this show? This is from the 90s, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So here's the source title, the episode, Hush. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the series, and these are other contributors. Joss Whedon created the series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and here's the actress who actually plays as the protagonist in the series, Sarah Michelle Gellar. So she's another contributor. Season 4. Here's the media company that publishes it. Yeah, 1999, date of publication. Okay, I think you guys have this now. I think we're doing great. One last thing. So check this out. Two last things. Here's our example of something that has accessed. Yeah. So this date is date of publication, and then we see access. That's demarcating the date of access. Obviously, it is what it sounds like. All right. there's one final thing. If I return to my notes here. Okay, so sometimes we will be given the city of publication alongside the name of the publisher. Okay, so we're talking about a written work like a book. Check out this example. Let's say I was told that this particular book, Ellis Island, I was told that it was published in the city of New York by the Icon Press Publishing House. Okay, so everything stays the same. The one thing you need to know is the city will go before the name of the publisher, because here you're ultimately saying the specific place where it was published and by who. Okay, in this case, the specific place that it was published was New York, and then there's a colon afterwards. So make that mental note. And the publishing house is Icon Press. Okay, so make that note. If you're given the city, then that will go before the publishing house. So city colon publishing house. Okay, because that's the rationale. The organizational rationale is place of publication and by who. Okay, if you know that detail, if you're given that detail, then that's how it'll go. So I think you're ready for the homework. And let's go to the next thing on our module. We already looked at the paper there. So really quick, before I go over that DFR, I just want to show you what the homework is. So there's this worksheet, MLA practice worksheet. And ultimately, you're going to try your hand at creating works cited pages. Sorry, there was one last thing that I forgot. And that is right here. Let's actually return to my example. Here, let me see. Let's put sample MLA works cited page. Okay, cool. So I just want to show you something before I conclude here. Let's see. Maybe this is a good one. Okay, cool. So number one, your works cited page, all the citations are alphabetized, okay? So BAL, then BAU, then GE, then ME, then MO. Okay, it's alphabetized. What else do you notice? Yes. So every line after the first is tabbed in, and that's what's called a hanging indent. So you want a hanging indent. And I want to show you a little trick here for going ahead to create that. So let's pretend this is our citation. By the way, you all know it should be Times New Roman, not Calibri, right? Okay. So here's the thing. You'll be like, okay, hanging indent. Got it. Mr. Godoy said that on my works cited page, the citation, every line after the first should be tabbed in. Cool. So we'll tab it in. Oh no. Oh look, it worked this time. Wow, I can't believe it worked this time. Usually it has trouble tabbing in, but I'm glad it worked this time. But if you're having trouble, also try putting your cursor here at the end of the line. Okay. So if you have trouble tabbing it in, then I highly recommend. Let's try it again. Ooh, why is it like this? I think it was on something different. Here, I think now it's going to do what I wanted to show you. Okay, look what happens when you hit tab. Oh wow, it actually works now, because before the whole thing used to move. All right, well, cool. Looks like it works now, but just in case you have trouble, you can try putting your cursor at the end of the first line. Okay, so remember that. Alphabetize your citations and have a hanging indent, which means every line after the first is tabbed in. Okay, so I recommend a cursor at the end of the first, then hit tab, and do that for each line, even if it continues like this. Yeah. Let's go ahead and tab that in as well. Okay, cool. All right. With that being said, here's what we're going to do. For our homework, we're going to create our own citations based on the details that were given of a particular source. So check this out. We're told it's a book. Sorry, before we continue, I want to show you what your two main guides for this homework will be. So number one, at the end of the worksheet, there's a guide here, okay? And then your other guide will also be the OWL at Purdue website, this one that we worked on. Okay. So these will be your guides. Okay. So with that being said, let's work on the first one. Okay. So we know it's a book. Therefore, first thing you should think of, okay, it's a book. I know, is that a component? No, it's a container, because a book contains chapters, right? Individual chapters. So it's a container. Therefore, a container is either what? Underlined or italicized. Okay. So I mean, they've already underlined it here. Cool. So we could follow that. But look, so we have two authors, a book by Henry Goldman and Elizabeth Howard. So check this out. If we go to two authors, remember I told you the first author is last name, comma, first name. And then we're going to put and first name, last name. So look how they put it. Smith, comma, Henry, and Betty Harmon. Okay, cool. So we have Goldman, Henry, and Elizabeth Howard. Okay, comma or period? What do you think? Yes, period, because period follows the author and the source title. Okay, so ancient civilization. So I will grade hard. I will be hard with my grading with these details. If you're told that it's a container, that you need to underline or italicize. Don't use quotation marks. Okay, so I will be pretty strict there. Okay, so ancient civilizations. This is our source. This is our source title here. We're told the city of publication. We're told it's Philadelphia. Remember, colon. We're told the publishing house, Gold House, comma, date of publication. Okay, what are we missing here? Yes, hanging indent. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. That's complete. So that's what you're doing. This worksheet's going to try to trick you. So pay real close attention. Don't let it trick you. And I know you can do it. All right. So once you complete this, guys, then here is the submission link. Pardon. It's the last thing on our module here. So here's the submission link. Just submit it to this. You'll be good. All right.